Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead. Today we're going to be doing something that is quite important as it relates to food security. We have recently had several requests to please show us a no-knead bread recipe. Well, I think I'm going to do one better than that. Those of you that have been with us for quite a while have seen me do a particular method where I don't knead, but I rather do a different technique. But I've always attached that to a specific recipe. For this bread recipe, this is the method that you use. Well, we are going to lift out just the method today. I'm going to use a recipe that I have always made using my stand mixer. But some of our viewers have said, what if there's no electricity? What if the grid is down and we can't use our stand mixer? Then how are we going to make bread? So we're going to focus on the technique this time. The bread recipe that I'm using is the no-fail roll recipe. And I will put the link to that video at the end of this video because the recipe is listed there. So today we're going to make it, but we're not going to follow the procedure that is in that recipe because we are going to do everything by hand, as if we had no electricity. The other alternative is not everyone has a stand mixer, and not everyone is physically capable of doing a rigorous kneading of bread. So this method, although it requires a little bit of physical work, is far, far less than a rigorous kneading that usually has to take place for 8 to 10 minutes to develop that gluten. Well, gluten does develop a little bit on its own in the right circumstances, so we're going to take advantage of that, but we're also going to do just a few little strokes to help it develop. And so this is what we're going to do. Now here's our recipe. I have the salt and the yeast already in the bowl. So I'm going to, I've just took the hot milk out of the microwave. I had microwaved it for 2 minutes. Let's get its temperature. It's 130. We want it below 110 before we add it to our bread because of the yeast. We don't want the yeast to be killed. So I'm adding the sweetener, and the recipe is variable. You can use whatever sweetener you like, maple syrup or sugar, or in this case I'm using honey. And it calls for half a cup of butter or ghee, and I'm using butter this time. And I'm just going to drop it right here in this hot milk. This will help cool it down. So I'm just going to let that sit for a minute while we work with the flour. This is my favorite make bread by hand pan. I've had it for probably 40 years. It has little dents in it, but it's so easy to work with and it is the right shape. You don't need anything special, just a bowl and a wooden spoon to do what we're going to be doing. But I do have this on my kitchen scale, and it's battery operated, so I don't need any electricity for it. And I've just zeroed it out, so it has canceled out the weight of what is already in there. And we are going to add 650 grams of flour. And this is regular, all-purpose King Arthur flour. All right, so we have our flour. And then we're going to take an extra half cup of flour. And actually, I'm not going to measure that extra half cup this time. I'm just going to leave the flour handy. Then I'm going to get in here with my hands. Well, I can do it with a spoon. But I like to feel the texture of my bread. I'm mixing the dry ingredients. So I'm mixing the flour, the yeast, and the salt together. All right, let's check the temperature of our milk here. So it's 115, we're just almost there. So I'm going to take this egg and add the egg to the milk, which will cool it down some more because I just took the egg from the refrigerator. And I'm going to whisk it all up. So we're getting our liquid all in one container. 109, so we are there. Now there's still a little bit of lumps of butter here, but that's okay. We're just going to pour everything in right here, making sure that we get the last of the honey down in here. And now, because we are doing this with no electricity, I'm just going to stir this mixture together. Now, this is going to need more flour. I already know it. I planned the recipe that way. And I explain all this in the original video, so you can, if you haven't seen that one and are interested in this, you can watch that video and see why I'm doing it this way. This is going to be very different doing it here instead of in my stand mixer. But we're going to make it happen, see if it works, to show you that you can pretty much use this with a variety of yeast breads. Okay, this is very wet dough, so I am going to add more flour and stir some more. There's a little lump of butter there that needs to be mixed in. Well, this is not bad right here. I think we just about have it. I have to feel it. And what I am feeling for is how much resistance the dough gives my hands. It's very soft. We want a soft dough. So I'm not going to add any more flour at this point. Okay, now, in order to make sure that everything is really mixed, I'm going to do what I call the caterpillar, which means I'm just going to take this now see, this has all come together. The flour has all been absorbed. But still, here's a little piece of butter right there, and a little bit of the flour is showing. So it still needs some more mixing. The caterpillar is a mixing method, and I'm going to do it, 3 or 4 times until it feels right. And so I just pinch the dough into segments like a caterpillar. So there's our caterpillar, and then I flop it over on itself and do it again. Okay, it's starting to feel really good. I'm not feeling little grains of salt separate from the dough. It appears to be quite well mixed. I'm picking up all the rest of the dough around the side. One last caterpillar. Okay, the dough is a little bit sticky and soft. Now what I'm going to do is leave it right in this bowl, and we're going to let it rest for about 15 minutes. You can rest it for 15 minutes to 60 minutes, as long as you want to, as long as whatever schedule you have at home, you can make this work for you. So between 15 minutes and 60 minutes, and what is going to be happening during this time, oh, there's a little piece of eggshell. Oh, glad I saw that. What is going to be happening during this time is that the liquid is going to be more completely absorbing the flour. So we're going to put plastic on the top of this. I just bought a package of 100 disposable shower caps, and I use them to cover food. I don't use them for shower caps. And we're just going to let this sit for 15 minutes, and then we'll be back to show you what comes next. So let's talk for just a minute about what kneading does to bread. When we manipulate the bread in our stand mixer or by hand doing the usual thing, what we are doing is working the dough. And working the dough, massaging the gluten that is in the flour, allows the gluten to form thin strands. And those thin strands connect with each other, and as the bread begins to rise, the yeast forms gas that fills those little pockets formed by the gluten, and that's what causes the bread to rise. And so it's really important that if we want a bread that has a really good lift to it and a proper texture, we need to develop the gluten at least a little bit so that it has a chance to form as many of those pockets as possible. If we don't manipulate it at all, if we just mix it up and then let it rise on its own without kneading it, then, as I said at the beginning of the video, it's going to affect the texture and the taste and the lift of the bread. So here's what we're going to do to manipulate the dough in order to develop the gluten. Now this has been sitting for, right now it's 20 minutes. So we are now going to do what is called a stretch and fold. This is in place of kneading. It does not require the physical exertion that kneading does. It doesn't require electricity. It requires one hand to manipulate the dough. And I'm going to get my hand wet. The way that I like to think about it is that I have got this dough right here, and it has now had a chance for the flour to be absorbed by the liquid, so it's ready to be manipulated. And I look at this bowl and I say, okay, from my perspective, this is north, this is south, this is east, and this is west. So I'm going to use those 4 cardinal directions as I turn the bowl. So here's what is going to happen. I am going to do a stretch and fold 4 times, 1 at each of the cardinal directions. So here I go. I'm lifting the dough with my wet hands, and I go about halfway under it, and I stretch it. It's very stretchy right now, and I fold it. Then I turn it, and now this was east. So east is going into this position, and I'm going to now go about halfway under, do 1 stretch and a fold, and turn a quarter turn to the next direction, which is south, stretch and fold. And you will find as you do this 4 times, it gets increasingly more difficult to do a stretch and fold because the dough is getting stronger. And that's exactly what we want. And that's all there is to it. Stretch and fold 4 times, and then the plastic goes back on the top. Now that is my first stretch and fold. And I mark that because I have a hard time remembering. I'm going to put it right there. So that signifies that the first one is done. We're now going to wait 15 minutes, and we're going to come back and do another one. We're going to do it 4 times. So I'm not going to bring you back for number 2 and number 3, but I will bring you back for number 4 so we can show you then what happens next. So I will see you in about half an hour. 45 minutes? I'll see you soon. Well, the buzzer just went off, and this is our 4th. We have 3 done. This is our 4th. Okay, so here we go. Now notice how much stronger this dough is. It's much harder to pull, and that's good. That's what we want. Now, oh my goodness sake, it is very strong. Now, what we want to do now, I'm just going to form this into a little ball. And we're going to put it right here. And you can use whatever bowl you wish. I love these Cambro 6-quart containers for proofing bread. And I'm going to pull the rubber band up to where it's about even with this dough. Every recipe I use is a little bit different. I have to reposition the rubber band. Okay. And we are going to let that rise until it is double. Now, the thing about this method, and we pretty much have finished with the method, we're going to see through this recipe for the rest of this video, just so that you can see how it turns out. And we will be comparing, I have, of my last batch, I only have 2 hamburger buns left. Everything else has been eaten, which is why I'm doing another batch here. But we will compare the hamburger buns from last time when I did it with my stand mixer with the hamburger buns that turn out from this recipe. I'm making both hot dog and hamburger buns this time, and I'm not going to take you through the shaping of those. That's all in the original video. But I wanted to just remind you that what this method allows you to do is to use a regular bread recipe with the full amount of yeast that your recipe calls for, and then you can use this method. In place of the kneading, we let it sit for 15 minutes after mixing, and then after 15 minutes where the flour has been absorbed by the liquid, then we do our 4 stretch and folds with 15 minutes between each one. And that takes the place of kneading. Now, the other way to do no-knead bread is to use just a minimal amount of yeast, like 1/8 of a teaspoon of yeast, or not more than a 1/4 of a teaspoon of yeast. And then you just mix it up, leave it alone, and let it rise naturally. Let it proof naturally 12, 18 hours overnight in the refrigerator. Long, long, long proofing. And that works also just fine. I like this method because I can use it with any bread recipe, regular amount of yeast, and it speeds up the process. It's not quite as fast as using a stand mixer, but that is okay because it saves us some physical labor doing it this way. So we'll be back. This will probably take about an hour, and we'll be back when I'm ready to start the shaping. It has been a little over an hour. As you can see, this has doubled in size. So the next step is for us to shape it. First thing I'm going to do is pull it out and weigh it. And I'm going to degas it a little bit. It's 1,100 grams. That means I'm going to be able to make 11 buns, either hot dog or hamburger buns. So I'm not sure right now how many I'm going to make of each. Probably 6 hot dogs and 5 hamburger, unless they should be between 90 and 100. So I may just make them closer to 90 than 100 grams each, and that way I could have 6 of each. So we will be back after I have shaped these. You can refer to the video that I've linked at the end of this video if you want to see how to shape these. And we'll be back when we are ready to put these in the oven so you can see how much they have risen. Shaping is done. I had to do a little creative arranging to get everything on here, but I have 6 of each. And I'm now going to put them in this plastic. And they are going to rise for probably about 45 minutes, maybe even as much as an hour. Well, here is our tray of rolls that just came out of the oven a minute ago. We decided to cut to the chase and wait until we took them out of the oven before we brought you back. And I just wanted to have you compare what the finished product using the stretch and fold method with here's one of our frozen ones, and here's one that just came off. So they are very, very similar. We had beautiful rise on these buns, and it worked out just perfectly. The one thing that I was a little bit disappointed in is that the dough has a little bit, this dough was very smooth, but this dough is a little lumpy on the top. And I think that I'll be able to correct that in future making it if I use the stretch and fold method. I won't put that extra flour in. I will leave the dough just slightly softer than it was after I put that little extra flour in. So I think that that was it. So I could not be happier with how these turned out. I think we have shown that we can pretty much use that method for well, we've only done an N of 1, a test on one recipe, but I think that it was transferable across many, many bread recipes. If the grid goes down, if you don't have a stand mixer and you still want to make these beautiful breads, to be able to substitute regular hand kneading with the stretch and fold. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know if you try it and what success you had with using this method. So thank you so much for being with us, and we appreciate so much you being a part of our learning community. Isn't it just great that we are learning from each other? So we will see you again very soon with more videos.